Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious Podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon Siegfried. And this week we are talking about where the sports world and the music world collide. And here to join me to talk about this is my favorite brother, my favorite co-host, a guy who's good at sports, but probably can't carry a note. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about sports, but I'm not sure that either of us were blessed with any type of musical abilities whatsoever.
No, I mean, I was a dancer as a young human, not an athlete. So I really wasn't blessed with a lot of those things.
But you can talk, which is nice.
Gift of gab. Yeah. Got me in a lot of trouble in grade school, though.
Well, now it's paying off, so everything works out in the end.
So stick at principal's office.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I think I played a trombone in like 4th grade.
you did.
For like maybe a month. I think I might have lasted.
I forgot about that.
I'm pretty sure we just beat each other up with the trombones during performances.
Sounds about right. I mean, you're
I don't
better for
think
the
I went.
trombone than an oboe.
Yeah, I got more reach.
Yeah. I know mom's biggest regret is that neither of us ever learned to play the piano. And so I have a friend who, Jamie, if you're listening, I'm so impressed that she has a rule that while you live under their roof, you have to play the piano.
Interesting.
And I feel like I want to institute that in my own household. Like, you have to play an instrument, because what a cool thing that I kind of wish I knew how to do. Just a little bit.
I mean, piano playing is a great party trick.
Right? Chicks dig it.
So there
Dudes
we go.
dig it, I guess. Whatever.
Whatever you identify as, you can play the piano.
Somebody digs it. And so with that, we could lead that perfectly into a piano playing NFL player, Christian McCaffrey, who apparently chicks do dig it, and pretty girls too, because he is engaged to model Olivia Culpo, and he plays for the San Francisco 49ers.
And he's a classically trained pianist, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, one of the best in the game, and also on the concert stage.
And great coordination, I guess. The hand-eye coordination obviously helps him catch passes.
Right?
So,
well, yeah, I was thinking that's like, your finger dexterity. Is that the word I'm looking for the ball? Penis skills. Penis skills. Now, there are a plethora of athletes. If we started to dive into this research, we were both like, oh, really? That one? That guy has it? Okay. There's a plethora of athletes who have rap albums. Notably, Kobe, Shaq, Deion Sanders. Let's dive into those.
There's certainly something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say, R.I.P. Kobe, but I think they were better off in their day job as athletes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, for definitely playing basketball and football and baseball.
So Kobe released an album called KOBE, like the dots between each of the letters. Shaq's was Shaq Diesel. And Shaq is now actually quite a world-renowned DJ as DJ Diesel. You've been to his shows.
I've been to his shows. He gets the crowd going. It's very intense. I think he would give up everything he has just to DJ full-time, nonstop. So he's always had the musical passion for sure.
Are his hands as big as, like, back in the day, DJs would use like record albums or like albums, but I feel like his hands would be that size.
It is quite entertaining to watch him stand up there and push the little buttons and operate like normal DJs who are like 5'10" and he's 7'2". Up
with
there,
hands
yes.
Does he have that little pen like you use for the iPhones when he has to push the button? It makes it easier for him.
He does not, unfortunately.
Oh, damn it. Maybe we should work on that.
I would suggest just going to see one of his shows at some point.
Okay. Well, he plays in Vegas. He's played all over the place, right?
All over music festivals. He's got a residency here in Vegas, so
he does. Where?
At the Wynn.
Oh.
He's got a residency at Encore and Excess.
Well, you heard it here first.
Vegas will probably be here.
Well, you know what? I know a guy who lives there and could hook you up, Call him next time you're in Vegas
Yeah.
and you wanna go see Shaq. You wanna go see DJ Diesel at XS.
Yes.
Now, Deion Sanders, who for those who don't know, Deion Sanders had a phenomenal professional athletic career. Um, he before he was the head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime, as we know him now, he had a rap album. He was even on Saturday Night Live in 1995. He wore this bright magenta suit and he rapped two of his songs, Must Be the Money, which I'm not sure if that's the not Nelly. Who was was that a Nelly song?
I
Must Be
think
the
that's part.
Money.
It's in a Nelly song. Yeah.
That and It's On. He was on Saturday Night Live as a musical guest, a legit musical guest for his album Primetime. And I think you said that he was on SNL right after he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. So this performance took place. He was riding the high of winning his Super Bowl with the 49ers and decided, let's roll. Let's just go and we'll get on Saturday Night Live and perform some music.
As you
Why
do.
not? And I think the reviews are mixed of the performance. I think that's safe to say.
Mhm. Yeah. And who would have thought in 1995 that he would be back on SNL in 2023 but being parodied by Keenan Thompson as Coach Prime? Like who would have thought?
It's come full circle, hasn't it?
It has. And then didn't I just see his two sons walked in the Louis Vuitton men's show in Paris?
So they may not have gotten the musical talent, but they've got the
Super
fashion. And
the supermodel talent,
yes,
the Zoolander talent,
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. Yeah, it's incredible. Now, from Dion, shall we go to boxers? There are a handful of boxers who have had musical careers, which certainly didn't expect.
Was it Senator Manny Pacquiao? Is that right? Or
Manny
former?
Pacquiao, yeah.
I guess he's an accomplished vocalist, you could say. And I think he released several albums from 2006 to 2013, which
And
were
talk
critically acclaimed. I don't know if that's
and talk about a guy who's had like the most expansive career, right? He was a boxer, a legendary boxer, a great boxer. Then he had these musical albums. He's a vocalist, obviously. And then he ran for multiple and held multiple government seats. I mean, this man has like lived 8 lives in one.
yeah. I mean, I mean, by far the most popular person from the Philippines. I have to assume, right? So he can
Mhm.
use his stardom to do whatever he wants. And I think there's some pretty incredible videos of him singing on the internet if you want to look those up. That I think they'll brighten up your day.
I think I'll probably spare our listeners, but maybe if I can figure out how to edit in, I'll dabble in dropping some of the music in here somewhere along the line.
I don't like to throw around the songbird of our generation too often, but I think you could probably throw that in there. Many people have described him as that.
And speaking of also boxers, I don't know if they probably aren't the same weight. I don't think they probably fought each other, maybe. But did you know that Oscar De La Hoya was a Grammy Award nominated singer?
I honestly had no idea. So you're teaching me something on this on this podcast. When was this? Do you know?
It looks like 2001, his first album. I'm going to assume only album. I don't know. First album, Oscar De La Hoya was nominated for a Grammy Award. It didn't win, but it was nominated for one.
I'm very shocked to hear that it was nominated. I can't believe he didn't win.
Apparently, his mom was a professional, sang professionally in Mexico, and as a
Wow.
child, he used to sing alongside her, so it was in his genes.
Okay. Well, good for must have been good. I don't know if we're gonna with this one.
Also, probably on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of another songbird of our generation, Justin Tucker, kicker, Ravens, still plays for the Ravens. He's an opera singer.
I mean, I think he's the most accurate kicker in NFL history.
Really?
So he's by far the best at his position, possibly of all time, and he's got this just immaculate opera singing voice.
As you do.
I know he's definitely blown teammates away when they've either watched his videos or heard him sing in the locker room.
It's incredible.
Their reactions are priceless to see this, you know, kicker, little skinny guy that can just sit up there and belt.
Belt it out.
Yeah,
Which I find so interesting. So you have these athletes who obviously spend a lot of time honing their craft for
mhm.
work, but they also had time to train to be a classical pianist and an opera singer and things that, you would never think you would have the extra, quote unquote, extra time to do.
That just shows how dedicated they are.
I guess so. So I want to talk a little bit about, because you always want to be what you can't be, right? So we have all these musicians who then want to be athletes. And we had Garth Brooks, who has been drafted a couple times and played on spring training teams. Drake is out there. Let's talk a little bit about some of these musicians who want to be athletes, professional athletes, I should say.
I mean, I think Garth Brooks has to be number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was his alter ego? Was it Chris Gaines?
Chris Gaines, I think, yeah. We had the
Or
dark
his,
hair.
yeah, his alter ego when played in spring training quite a few times, I think.
I know he played for the Royals. I don't know if he played for anybody else, but
I mean, I'm sorry, I'm just picturing. I've got the visual in my head of
mm-hmm.
Chris Gaines taking batting practice in spring training, trying to take it
Mm-hmm.
seriously.
Mm-hmm. And then you have people like Justin Bieber, right? So Justin Bieber, obviously a Grammy Award winner. He did get a contract with the East Coast Hockey League team in Bakersfield, but he's played hockey forever. And of course he's Canadian, which means of course he's played hockey forever. I've never seen an actual game of like a frozen lake until I went to Canada, so it makes sense.
Yeah, you've got no choice but to play hockey if
Mm-hmm.
you're from Canada. And
It was cold.
he's obviously an incredible musical artist, but I think he actually has real skills when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
hockey, from what I've seen and heard. And
Yeah, and then you
he's even gotten challenged from Stanley Cup winning goalies for shootouts and things like that. I don't know if you remember that with Jordan Binnington of the St. Louis Blues.
yeah, yeah. Now you said he's got some affiliation with this year's All-Star game?
So he's designed a few jerseys for the Maple Leafs, I believe, which is his favorite team, and he also designed the NHL All Star jerseys this year, which is going
Oh,
to be in
awesome.
Toronto the night before the Grammys. So also
Cool.
very topical and music related.
Do you think he'll be able to make both, go from the All-Star game to the Grammys?
I'm pretty sure he has the means to do both
I hope so.
based
I
on
mean,
traveling arrangements, but I'm sure he has to be at the game based on him designing the jerseys.
what do the jerseys look like?
I don't know how to describe them. They're not traditional hockey jerseys, to say the least, so I don't know how well they're going to go over with most fans.
Are they like tank tops, or you're saying the design is not traditional?
Just the design is very untraditional.
Okay, got it.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Okay, we'll have to share this
You'll
one.
have to tune into the All Star game on the 3rd and let us know your thoughts.
So the Grammys are February 4th. All-Star
Mhm.
game for hockey is February 3rd. But we
Yes.
have a couple more athletes, or excuse me, Grammy Award winners who are really involved in athletics. Justin Timberlake, 10-time Grammy Award winner. He's a phenomenal golfer, rumored to have a very, very low, like 6-ish handicap, which is phenomenal. He's also part owner in the Memphis Grizzlies, has a stake in the Music City Grand Prix ownership group. He's super involved in the world of sports.
Yeah, obviously very musically talented. We had the opportunity to see him live
Mhm.
not too long ago in Las Vegas in one of his. He doesn't perform that often, so it was really cool to see him
Yeah,
perform on
it's
stage. And
cool.
obviously, his athleticism and dancing translates very well to golf.
He's super involved in the Shriners golf tournament out there, isn't he?
He used to be. I don't know that he
Okay.
has the
Okay.
affiliation anymore. but he
Got
was
it.
always very big into it. And he's always at the Tahoe celebrity tournament that takes place.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
usually finishes very high, so he's definitely into sports.
Well, also, I know he's into basketball, obviously. Also into basketball, rest in peace, but Prince apparently was known to dominate on the court.
I mean, this has to be the legend of Prince, just him in general, with his entire life, is just hard to believe, hard to fathom. And that resulted in probably the best skit of all time on television with Charlie
Mhm.
Murphy.
Mhm. On the Chappelle Show, right?
Yeah, rumors of him, his legendary pickup games, and then serving pancakes afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, what else would you do after you dominate Charlie Murphy on the basketball court as much as serve him pancakes?
Serving pancakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have another random Prince athlete story if you have a minute.
Of course, always.
So Carlos Boozer, he's told this story. He was a long time. He played at Duke. He played in the NBA forever. He rented his house out to Prince. I think Prince might have been recording an album in LA. And Prince completely gutted it, like painted it, took everything out that Carlos Boozer had in there while he lived there. And then when he moved out, put everything back exactly where it was, exactly how everything was.
That's
Like he
impressive.
was never even there.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm sure it was millions and millions of dollars to do it, but he's just such an eccentric guy.
If that's what puts you in the right headspace to
Yeah.
shoot a movie or record an album or whatever that might be,
Or
it's worth it, I suppose.
beat Charlie Murphy in a pickup game,
In pickup game.
whatever it
I
takes. Yeah.
Now, Rod Stewart was one of the OGs of owning a soccer team. So he owns. He actually. I shouldn't say he doesn't own a soccer team. I apologize. That was wrong of me to say. But he was one of the OGs in the world of soccer. He actually tried out for his local professional club, Brentford FC, and he did well, allegedly. We all have these stories, right? Did well apparently during his tryout, but was not signed to a contract. So I guess he said, well, soccer is no longer going to be my thing. So I'm going to move into music. So this is his second best talent, apparently, in music.
Could you imagine an alternate universe where Rod Stewart just makes a team for Brentford FC and becomes, like a Premier League superstar, and we never get to hear him perform music?
I mean, that would be sad. There'd be a lot of songs that our world was missing.
I mean, I'm sure at the time he was devastated, and all his friends probably made fun of him. I assume
I
for
assume
not
that he
making.
just said, "Screw you guys.
I'll
I'm gonna
just
go take a microphone."
do this music thing and go win. Has he won? He's won a Grammy, I think.
I think
A lot of.
my notes say he's won only one Grammy, which kind of surprises me.
Do you think
He's
he
been
would rather
nominated.
won a Premier League title or a Grammy?
Probably a
What are your
Premier League
thoughts?
title. Probably a
Probably.
Premier League title, but if he was a soccer player, he might have said a Grammy, right? We always want what we can't have, so
Like we've seen in this multiple examples in this podcast, that they'd probably rather do the other, no matter what.
absolutely. Now, I want to wrap us with two very eccentric team owners who also happen to be in the music world, and we were laughing as we were talking about this, kind of talking through the notes before the podcast. We do not condone either of their behavior. We're just simply mentioning their musical involvements. So they've both been kind of in the headlines lately for maybe not so positive things. But let's start with James Dolan, who is the owner of the Knicks, owns Madison Square Garden. He has been known to throw out people at Madison Square Garden for looking at him cross or just whatever it might be, complaining about the temperature in the arena. He'll throw them out for life. So
Hmm.
he's very eccentric, but he also he's behind the Sphere, right,
He's
in
behind.
Vegas.
Yes,
Great musical venue. Maybe that is part of this, but he's also in a band.
he is, and we disavow his off the field antics or anything he may
Hmm.
be doing away from sports. So we're just strictly focusing on sports and music.
Hmm.
Uh, he recently said he actually hates owning sports teams,
Oh,
and I think that means he would just rather be playing. What does he play? A
kazoo.
kazoo. So he's a
Kazoo.
kazoo player
Hmm.
in his own band, right?
I believe so. I don't have the note of the name of his band, but he does play a kazoo. And in the Rod Stewart scenario, he would rather have apparently James Dolan would rather have a Grammy than a sports team.
Yes. Yeah, playing kazoo or it's JD and the Straight Shot is his band.
JED and the Straight Shot live on kazoo. James
Country
Dolan.
blues and roots rock, where he's
I didn't. I didn't.
kazooing all over the stage.
I didn't didn't know that kazoo was really a key instrument in country music.
Well, you're not a passionate musical fan like Mr. Dolan.
Apparently not. Apparently, those years as a country music fan, I've missed out on the hidden kazoo.
Yeah, I mean, imagine owning 2 or 3 of the most valuable franchises in the world, and all you want to do is play kazoo.
I mean, it's the simple things
It's
in
really
life.
an identity crisis.
Now let's talk about Jim Irsay. He is the owner of the Indianapolis Colts. He has lived a unpredictable and fast life. He spent a lot of it partying, and he also likes to buy relics that some would admire, like John Lennon's Sergeant Pepper piano. But he also has some unusual things like the founding documents for the Alcoholics Anonymous, initial documents for Alcohol Anonymous, that he bought for a tune of 2.4 million. And he had a rough go allegedly in December. He possibly had some sort of overdose. That's what's happening out in the news here in the past couple weeks. But yeah, he took over the Colts from his dad.
Yes, and he loves owning a sports team, unlike the previous owner. But he also loves music.
And I believe he's a singer in the band, right?
I think so. Yes,
Yeah.
and he'll do like concerts and travel with his with all his musical collection. So it's like an immersive event.
Oh, like he's like
So
a one-man band, you mean? Or
he does a concert, and then he has all his the Jim Irsay collection of all like, the things we just spoke about that he owns.
oh, okay, got it. Like he
And
brings his traveling museum.
yes, so you get show and a history tour as
Edu-
well.
and an educational value to
Yes,
it as well. The John Lennon piano and the founding documents for Alcoholics Anonymous.
I think there's a lot of other random things that we could probably spend a whole other podcast on that he owns.
Well, there is a former podcast a couple years ago about the wackiest people to own sports teams. So if you really want to dive into that, James and Jim may be on that list.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to wrap us up with as we dive into getting into the Grammys and all these athletes who want to be what they are not? Anything you want to leave us with?
I think we covered so many examples that athletes want to be singers and singers want to be athletes. So it's just kind of the two worlds always combine.
Absolutely. Well, in the words of professional soccer player Clint Dempsey, who rapped in a Nike ad, "Don't tread." I don't know. I was going to wrap that up somehow, but that's
That
don't
works.
tread on me. Go forth and just do it. If you have dreams in the world of sports or in the world of music, just do it.
Just do it.